Hi, my name is Chris. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, watch. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to don't forget don't forget to comment, like. Don't forget to comment, like. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, watch my videos, subscribe to my channel so I can make good videos for the future of my channel and everything else I do on it. Today we'll be reading from Genesis chapter 18 and Genesis chapter 19 about the story of Abraham and uh, story of Abraham. Abraham did this and that, and had the promise of the son, and how Lot was saved from Lot was saved from the wicked Sodom, the wicked Sodom and Gomorrah, and how he had lunch in the bedroom with his daughters, and how he produced all that stuff. He was a bad guy, and how he was a good guy as well. He was a bad guy, he was a good guy as well. He had lots of faith, but he had lots of faith. How he had lots of faith, and how how he how he had lots of faith, how he had lots of faith in God, and how he's cornered himself by being selfish, and how he grabbed the best land for himself. It was all gone, and how Abraham was a good man. He had lots of faith in God, and he was going to bring his children up in the way of God, father of many nations. I'll read all of Genesis chapter 18 and to explain every 5 verses, 5 verses. And same with Genesis 19, I'll tell you overall thoughts of the chapter. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, watch my videos and subscribe to my channel. Okay, here we go. The son is promised to Sarah. The Lord appeared again to Abraham in the oak grove belonging to Mamre. The Lord appeared again to Abraham near the oak grove belonging to Mamre. One day Abraham was sitting at the entrance to his tent during the hottest part of the day. He looked up and noticed 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he ran to meet them and welcomed them, bowing low to the ground. "My lord," he said, "if it pleases you, stop here for a while. Rest in the shade of this tree while water is brought to wash your feet. And since you've honored your servant with this visit, let me prepare some food to refresh you before you continue on your journey." Basically, this is the story of how God appeared to Abraham again, like he said he would. The Lord would. Yahweh God said he would appear to God like he said he would. In the last chapter, he was God going bad for him, and how he appeared to Abraham in the oak grove, which is like a tree belonging to Mount. Basically, that's in Hebron, which is like a few kilometers south of Bethlehem, near Tekoa and near Engedi and many other places. It's not far from those towns. It's in the southern part of Israel today. And Abraham was sitting in the hut one day. This is one day. This is a real story. How he appeared to Abraham, like he said it would again next year. I guess in 2100 BC, sitting at the entrance of his tent, basically, which is the front door of his tent. And it was very hot. It was very humid. It's very humid back in those days, back in that time. And he looked up. Basically, he was watching, and he noticed 3 men. 2 of them were angels, and 1 of them was God. I think that's what research says. 2 of them was angel, and 1 was God. What research says. And basically, When he saw them, he ran to meet. Basically, he rushed out to meet them, and he welcomed them. He gave them a greeting, and he worshipped them. He worshipped God, and he worshipped the two angels. And he said, "My Lord," basically, he's showing good hospitality. He's showing good hospitality to them by giving them food and by giving them water to drink, and telling you to rest in the shade of the tree so they can have relaxed company and they can talk. And he's calling him my Lord, which means that he's my God. It means he's his God, Lord's God. And since he's honoured, he sent water is brought to wash his feet. And since God has honoured Abraham, which is God's servant, with the visit, he's telling him that he'll prepare food to refresh him on his way and some drink. So showing hospitality towards him. Showing good hospitality towards him. Showing good hospitality. Showing good hospitality towards him. Showing good hospitality to him. Alright, they said, do as you have said. Basically, they're telling him that to keep what his lads have told them that he's going to do, making him keep his. They're telling him to keep his promise, because they're like promise breakers, I guess. They're just telling him to keep his promise that he's made to God, so I can be righteous, I guess. That's what that means. He's very human. Hebron, which is he's like a few kilometers south of Bethlehem, not far from Jerusalem, and near Tekoa and many other places out there. Adullam. It's in the Caleb tribe of Judah. Some part of Israel. We were sitting there in the most humid part of the day, which is what hottest part means in the original Greek. It's humid. He looked up and he noticed three men. Basically, the three men were just standing nearby, and he ran to meet him. He worshipped them and gave him a greeting, telling him all that stuff. He's going to prepare for them, to offer them hospitality. And then they're telling him to keep his promise. So Abraham ran. Anyway, let's go back. Let's keep going. So Abraham ran back to the tent and said to Sarah, "Hurry, get 3 large measures of your best flour, knead it into dough, and bake some bread." Then Abraham ran out to the herd and chose a tender calf and gave it to his servant, who quickly prepared it. When the food was ready, Abraham took some yogurt and milk and the roasted meat, and he served it to the men. As they ate, Abraham waited on them in the shade of the trees. "Where is Sarah, your wife?" the visitors asked. The one, yeah, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" the visitors asked. "She's inside the tent," Abraham replied. Then one of them said, "I'll return to you about this time next year, and your wife Sarah will have a son." Sarah was listening to this conversation from the tent. Basically, what this means is that basically Abraham ran and did exactly as he said he was going to do. He ran to the tent and he said to his wife, said to Sarah, who was his wife, who was also his half sister. So they'll relate to each other, which is very disgusting. Half brother, half sister. I guess he didn't really matter much back in those days. Married to his sister. And glory be God. Married to his sister. His wife, telling her to hurry up and get 3 large measures, which I'm not really sure what that is in today's measurements. I think it's a few ounces of best flour, 2 ounces or 2 litres of it, and to knead it into dough to make the bread, telling her to make some bread. Then he went to the herd and got some meat. Bred some meat, he turned a calf, which is like a cow meat, and he gave it to his servant and quickly prepared it. Basically, his servant went so fast and quickly prepared it. And when the food was ready, Abraham took the yogurt and the milk and the rest of it, he served to the men, and he waited on them. Basically means that he served them and waited for them to finish eating the food in the shade of trees. Waited for them to finish the food. Waited for them to finish the food. Waited for them to finish. Waited for them to finish the food finish the food in the shade of the trees. Then one of the visitors asked the angels, 2 angels, and God asked, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" Basically, they're asking him where Sarah was, and he said that he's inside the tent. She's inside the tent because that's where she was. And then one of them, when it says one of them, it's talking about God. One of the angels, which we knew was Jesus, was God back in the Old Testament. God in human form said God will return. He said, "I'll return to you about this time next year, and your wife Sarah was son." As God told Abraham that. The Lord told Abraham, or God told Abraham, that about the same time that he visited him this year, just like I said at the start of the passage, he visited him the next year, like I said he would. About that time next year, which is a few chapters later, he'll return back to him. And his wife Sarah, that is his half sister, have the same father but different mothers, or different fathers and different mothers. We'll have a son. Basically, they'll have lunch in the bedroom, and she'll have a son, as promised. And Sarah was listening to the conversation. She could hear what they were saying from the tent. Abraham and Sarah were both very old by this time, and she had faith in God too. And Sarah was long past the age of having children. So she laughed silently to herself and said, "How could a worn-out woman like me enjoy such pleasure, especially when my master, my husband, is also so old?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, 'Can an old woman like me have a baby? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I'll return about this time.'" Then the Lord said to Abraham, is also so old. Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, 'Can an old woman like me have a baby? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I'll return about this time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she denied it, saying, "I didn't laugh." But the Lord said, "No, you did laugh." Basically, what this means is that this part of the passage is talking about how Abraham and Sarah were both very old people in their 90s or in their 100s. I guess they lived very long back then. And Sarah was past at the age of having lunch in the bedroom, having children. She was long past it. So she laughed silently to herself. She laughed so God and the angels and Abraham couldn't hear her, but God still heard her. And she's like, "How can a worn out woman like me, which is an old woman, enjoy having lunch in the bedroom? Especially such plan, basically having lunch in the bedroom." Basically, she asked herself how she could have lunch in the bedroom with Abraham, even though her husband, which is her master, which is her brother, was also so old. Which, of course, you can still have children even when you're old back in those days. Still possible. Because Do you have any of these diseases that may make you have kids when you're older? The God said to Abraham, the Lord is God. We can say that's God, God Yahweh. Said to Abraham, asked Abraham why Sarah laughed. Said she can't have, cannot woman. Why did she say cannot woman have a baby? And it's like, is anything too hard for God? We know the answer to that question is no one is too old. Is anything too hard for God, for the Lord? We know the answer to that question. Nothing is too hard for the Lord. He can work miracles like he did in the time of Jesus and like he did in the time of the prophets. And he's still doing miracles today. He can still give us children, even when we're old. If we pray very hard for it, we can still have children before it was over. Before our time's over. And he said he will return about this time next year. Basically, the same time he visited him this year is going to come next year. Sarah's going to have a lunch in the bedroom of her son. She was afraid of God, so she denied it. She lied to him. She denied it, saying she didn't laugh. But God said no, he did laugh, because God heard her. Lord said no, he did laugh. Abraham intercedes for Sodom. And the men got up from their meal and looked out towards Sodom as they left. Abraham went with them to send them on their way. Should I hide my plan from Abraham? The Lord asked. For Abraham will certainly become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth, great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed through him. Blessed through him. I have singled him out so that he will direct his sons and their families to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just. Then I'll do for Abraham all that I've promised. So the Lord told Abraham, I have heard of a great outcry from Sodom and Gomorrah because their sin is so flagrant. Basically what this part of the passage says is that God was using Sodom as an example to talk to Abraham. Show Abraham how that was happening. Then the men, basically saying the men got up, they finally finished their meal, and they got up and they looked towards Sodom, because they were sent there by God to go just see if it was good or not. He's going to tell Abraham his plan. And so Abraham went in with them. Basically, Abraham decided to go with them to send them on their way, so they could continue their journey. And then God, who is one of the angels, was actually the Lord. He's like, should I hide my plan from Abraham? Basically, the Lord's asking himself if he would. Yahweh's asking himself if he could hide his plan from Abraham, which of course he will not hide his plan from Abraham. For Abraham will certainly become a great mighty nation, which is very true, because the nation of Israel came from him, and the nation of Jordan as well, Saudi Arabia, the Arabs and the Jews and the Christians came from him as well. And so he's the father of three religions: Muslims, Jews, and Christians. Is called the Abrahamic faiths. So Abraham was certainly respect already. So basically, he's going to become a great nation. The nation of Israel came from him, as well as the nation of the Arabs, for Ishmael, and the Midianites, and all these other ones, as we can see in the next couple of chapters. All the nations of the earth will be blessed through him. All nations will be blessed through Jesus coming from Abraham. So they'll be blessed through Abraham, I guess. He who is the father of faith. He loves the faith. The book of Hebrews talks about him having faith for everything in most of his life. And God singled him out so that he would direct his sons and their families to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just. Basically, what that means is that he singled him out, and so God knows that Abraham's gonna direct his own sons and their families to do what God says and do the way of God by doing what is right and just, with what the characteristics of God are. And God's going to do for Abraham all that God has promised, because he's the promise keeper, as the I Am Day song has told us. The I Am Day song has told me. That song is called Promises. And it says, so the Lord told Abraham, basically God told Abraham his plan. He said he's heard a great outcry. He's heard a great crying out from Sodom and Gomorrah, because their sin is so great, so wicked, it's so bad. I'm going to go with the next verse. It says, I'm going down to see if their actions are as wicked as I have heard. If not, I want to know. The other men turned and headed towards Sodom, but the Lord remained with Abraham. Abraham approached him and said, will you sweep away both the righteous and the wicked? Suppose you find 50 righteous people living there in the city. Will you still sweep it away and not spare it for their sakes? Surely you wouldn't do such a thing, destroying the righteous along with the wicked. Why you would be treating the righteous and the wicked exactly the same? Surely you wouldn't do that. Should not the judge of all the earth do what is right? That's true. The judge of the earth is God. Basically, what this part of the passage is saying is that God's going to go down to Sodom, and he's going to see if their actions are as bad as he's heard. And basically, if their great wickedness is as great as he's heard, if not, he would want to know. And the other men, which were the two other angels, turned and they headed towards Sodom to see if it was going to be bad. But God remained with Abraham. As God decided to stay behind with Abraham, God stayed on with Abraham. Abraham approached God and said, the Lord and said, will you, basically, he asked him a question if he will sweep away both the righteous and the wicked. We know that he will not. We know from research that he will not sweep away both the righteous and the wicked. The Bible says that as well. Suppose you find righteous people living. Suppose you find 50 righteous people living there in the city. Basically, he's asking me if he finds 50 righteous people, if he will sweep it away and not spare it for the sakes of those 50 people. It's like, surely, and he knows in his own heart, because he's a man of faith, that surely God wouldn't do such a thing, destroying them. He would be treating the righteous and the wicked the same. He'd be giving the righteous and the wicked the same reward, which we know God shows no partiality. So he doesn't show the same partiality of the righteous and the wicked. Of the righteous and the wicked. You know, he shows no partiality. He's like, should not the judge of the earth, basically means, should not the judge of the earth, basically, he refers to God in this chapter as the judge of all the earth, which is the judge of the whole universe. He will judge us for our sins, and those who do the right thing will go to heaven, and those who do the wrong thing will go to hell. And the Lord replied, if I find 50 righteous people in Sodom, I will spare the entire city for their sake. Then Abraham spoke again, since I have begun, let me speak further to my Lord, even though I am but dust and ashes. Suppose there are only 45 righteous people rather than 50. Will you destroy the whole city for the lack of 5? And the Lord said, I will not destroy if I find 45 righteous people there. 45 righteous people there. Then Abraham pressed his request further. Suppose there are only 40. And the Lord replied, I will not destroy it for the sake of the 40. Please don't be angry, my Lord, Abraham pleaded. Let me speak. Suppose only 30 righteous people are found. And the Lord replied, I will not destroy it. I will not destroy it if I find 30. Then basically what this part of the passage is saying is that God's answering him and saying he will not destroy it if he finds 50 righteous people. So Sodom will be saved if he finds 50. We know he doesn't find 50 in the next chapter. He only finds 4, or should I say 3 righteous people there, because Lot's life turns back. So he finds 3. The chapter goes, he will not destroy it if he finds. Then Abraham asked him if he would destroy it, and told him to speak further. And he had lots of faith, and saying, though he's part of destinations, which is what every human is, so we still have a good faith in God, we can still speak to him. Suppose there are only 45. So saying, he's asking me if there's 45 righteous people rather than 50. Well, she's asking if there was only 45 except 50. We ask him if he would destroy the city for the lack of 5. If he would destroy the city for 45. And God replied to him, and he was telling Abraham that he would not destroy it if he find 45 righteous there. Basically, Abraham wanted to save his nephew Lot from the city because he knew Lot was a man of faith. And Abraham pressed his request further. Suppose there were 40. Basically, God he's asking God if he will destroy it if there are only 40, and God said he will not destroy it if there's for the sake of the 40. He's going to keep the city if there's 40, 30, 40, 45, and 50. And the Lord, and then it's like, please don't be angry. He's telling God to not be angry with him and let him speak. Suppose only 30 are found there, which you know that only 3 are found there, so they had to destroy the city. And then God's telling he will not destroy it if he finds 30. And let's keep going on to the end of the chapter. Then Abraham said, since I have dared to speak to the Lord, let me continue. Suppose there are only 20. And the Lord replied, then I will not destroy it for the sake of the 20. Finally Abraham said, Lord, please don't be angry with me if I speak one more time. Suppose only 10 are found there. The Lord replied, I will not destroy it. And the Lord replied, then I will not destroy it for the sake of the 10. When the Lord had finished his conversation with Abraham, he went on his way, and Abraham returned to his tent. Basically, what this whole chapter is talking about is that God was using Sodom as an example, of people being wicked, and showing that Abraham would direct his children through. And basically, that part is like saying, asking if you'll find 30, 20. If he finds 20 there, he will not destroy it for the sake of the 20. So only 10 will be found. And since he's dared to speak to the Lord, and then continue, so he's telling God, he asked him if he only found 20. God said he will not destroy it for the sake of the 20. And then he said, don't be angry with me. And let me, if I speak one more time. So basically, he's going to have one more talk with him. So he suppose only 10 are found. And he finished his talk with him, saying he will not destroy it for the sake of the 10. Which we know that there was only 3 people. So he to destroy the city. And Abraham, when God had finished his conversation with Abraham, God went on his way. He went back to heaven, or back to Sodom. And Abraham returned to his tent. So Abraham went back to his house in Hebron. Basically, this chapter is showing how righteous Abraham was, how he's going to have a son in a year's time. Sarah's going to hear about the promise of the son, how she laughed, how he entertained with hospitality, how he asked God about all these questions about Sodom, and he wanted to save his nephew Lot. How Abraham gave him the right answer, how he cooked in hospitality. That's what that chapter's about. And then I'll read the next one. Then the Lord, that evening, Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. That evening, the two angels came to the entrance of the city of Sodom. Lot was sitting there, and when he saw them, he stood up. Lot was sitting there, and when he saw them, he stood up to meet them. Then he welcomed them and bowed with his face to the ground. "My lords," he said, "come to my home to wash your feet and be my guests for the night. You may then get up early in the morning and be on your way again." "Oh no," they replied, "we'll just spend the night out here in the city square." But Lot insisted, so at last they went home with him. Lot prepared a feast for them, complete with fresh bread made without yeast, and they ate. But before they retired for the night, all the men of Sodom, young and old, came from all over the city and surrounded the house. Then he shouted to Lot, "Where are the men who came to spend the night with you? Bring them out so we can have sex with them." They shouted to Lot, "Where are the men who came to spend the night with you? Bring them out to us so we can have sex with them." Basically, have lunch in the bedroom with them. Basically, what this chapter is saying, the other chapter is basically they ate food, they ate bread and roasted meat and drank yogurt and milk in those days. That's the food they had in those days. Basically, this chapter, God's coming to Sodom and Gomorrah. The angels came there and they came to the entrance, and Lot was sitting there. And when he saw them, he basically rose up to meet them. And he gave them a greeting, and he worshipped them and said, "My lords." Basically, he's calling them my lords because they're the angels of God. So he calls them his lords. So he's calling them gods. He's showing them hospitality as well. And be his guests. He may get up early in the morning and go. And it's like, no. They're like, "Oh no, we'll just spend night out here in the city square." Basically, they want to spend the night in the city square. But Lot insisted. He was so persistent. At last, they went home. And Lot prepared them a feast for them and ate completely fresh bread made without yeast. Basically, that's unleavened bread, which is what the Israelites ate at the Passover. Is what Jesus was for the people of the world, dying for our sins. And before they retired for the night, they ate it. And before they retired, all the men of Sodom, both the men and all the men of Sodom, basically, both the ladies and the men, the young and the old, basically they're both young and they're both old, came from all over the city of Sodom. So basically, everyone in Sodom, including the men and the woman, came and surrounded the house. Shouted to Lot, "Where are the men?" So they can have lunch in the bedroom with them. Came to spend. Basically, ask him where the angels were, so they can have lunch in the bedroom with the angels, which is not good. It's very bad to have lunch bedroom with angels. They're men of God, messengers of God. Basically, it was an immoral city, having immorality. having lunch in the bedroom with men with men, women with men, and women with women. We know those angels were male, so that was a really wrong thing for him to do, having lunch in the bedroom with them. So Lot stepped outside to talk to them, shutting the door behind him. Please, my brothers, he begged, don't do such a wicked thing. Look, I have 2 virgin daughters. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do with them as you wish. But please, leave these men alone, for they are my guests and are under my protection. Stand back, they shouted. This fellow came to town as an outsider, and now he's acting like our judge. We'll treat you far worse than those other men. And they lunged toward Lot to break down the door, but the 2 angels reached out and pulled Lot into the house and bolted the door. Basically, what this means is that basically Lot went out there to talk to them, and he shut the door. He stepped outside to talk to the men of Sodom, the men and women of Sodom, closing the door behind him. Basically, he shut the door, bolted it behind him, and it's what it says in some translations. Please, my brothers, he begged. Basically, he was begging with them to not do such a bad thing, such a wicked thing. He's like, look, he has 2 virgin daughters. Basically, he has 2 daughters that haven't had lunch in the bedroom with anyone. He'll bring them out, and he can do it with them as they wish, having lunch in the bedroom with those virgin daughters, with those 2 daughters of Lot. He's like, but please leave these men alone. For that, basically, he's telling them to leave the men alone because those angels are his guests. He's telling them to leave the angels alone, and because the angels are his guests and are under his protection. And then he's like, stand back. And he's like, this fellow, basically they're talking to themselves, saying this fellow came to them as an outsider. And truly, he was an outsider. He's from a different land to them. And now he's acting like their judge. I guess that's what they thought of him. He was like, we'll treat you far worse than those other men. Basically, they were going to treat him far worse than they're going to treat the angels. And then they went towards Lot to break down the door. The 2 angels reached out and pulled Lot in and bolted the door. Basically, they bolted the door and locked it. They pulled Lot and bolted down the door. I guess. Now let's read this part. Then they blinded all the men, young. Then they blinded all the men, young and old, who were at the door of the house, so they gave up trying to get inside. Meanwhile, the angels questioned Lot. Do you have any other relatives here in the city? They asked. Yeah. Meanwhile, the angels questioned Lot. Do you have any other relatives here in the city? They asked. Get them out of this place. Your sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone else, for we are about to destroy the city completely. The outcry against this place is so great, it has reached the Lord. And some translations says, reach the ears of God. Reach the ears of the Lord. It has reached the Lord, and he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot rushed out to tell his daughter's fiancés, quick, get out of the city. Quick, get out of the city. The Lord is about to destroy it. But the young men thought he was only joking. At dawn the next morning, the angels became insistent. Hurry, they said to Lot. Hurry, Hurry, they said to Lot. Take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here. Get out right now, or you will be swept away in the destruction of the city. Basically, what this means is that they bolted the door, they blinded the men. Basically, they gave them blindness so the young and old people, or the men and women who were at the door of the house, they gave up trying to get inside. So they couldn't get inside, then they could never get inside. And then they asked Lot the question him, basically asking him the question if he had any other relatives in the city, and telling him to get them out of this place. His sons-in-law, basically his daughter's fiancés, and his sons and his daughters or anyone else. Their plan was to destroy the city. Destroy the city. Plan was to destroy. Their plan was to destroy the city. Because completely, and the outcry against this place is so great. Because the outcry against the city was so great, there was so great outcry. The crying out was so great, and he's reached God. In other translations, said it's reached the ears of the Lord. Basically, God's ears have heard this, and he has sent those angels. That's what he does. He sends angels with messages of doom, messengers to destroy cities. Sent them to destroy it. And then Lot rushed out to tell the daughter's fiancés, quick, see the Lord is about to destroy it. He's telling them that God's going to destroy the city, preaching the gospel to them. The young man thought he was only joking, basically thought he was making a joke out of it. Then at dawn, the angels became insistent. Basically, they persisted, telling him to hurry and take his wife, his 2 daughters who were here, and get them out, or he will be swept away. Basically, they'll be killed as well. So God listened to Abraham and helped save Abraham's nephew Lot from the destruction. And let's read next. When Lot still hesitated, the angel seized his hand and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters and rushed them to safety. When Lot still hesitated, the angels seized his hand and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters and rushed them to safety outside the city, for the Lord was merciful. When they were safely out of the city, one of the angels ordered, "Run for your lives and don't look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountains or you'll be swept away." "I know, my Lord, you have been so gracious to me and saved my life, and you have shown such great kindness. But I cannot go to the mountains. Disaster would catch up to me then. Disaster would catch up to me there, and I would soon die. See, there is a small village behind. See, there is a small village nearby. Please let me go there instead. Don't you see how small it is? Then my life will be saved." Basically, what this is saying is that Lot was hesitating. Basically, the angel seized the hands of his hand and hands of his wives, and they brought his wife and hands of his wife and his 2 daughters and rushed them rushed them to safety. Basically, ran out of the city to safety, rushed them out to safety, rushed them to safety outside the city. For God was merciful. Basically, He had mercy on Lot because of Abraham interceding for him, which is a good thing. And when they were safely out of the city, one of the angels ordered, basically telling them to run for their lives and don't look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Basically, don't look back, stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountains or be swept away. And then he's like, oh no, my lord. Basically, he refuses. He's begging them, saying, no, 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 God, oh no, God, you have been so gracious to me, and so basically, so you've been so good to me and gracious to me and saved my life, and you've shown such great kindness to basically telling him how much great kindness they've shown to him, how gracious and how they saved his life. But he cannot go to the mountains. Disaster would catch up with him there, and he would soon die. And he's telling them, asking them if he could go to telling them there's a small village, and asking them if he could go there instead. And don't you see how small that his life will be saved? The angels will answer in the next couple of times as well. All right. All right, the angel said. I will grant your request. I will not destroy the little village, but hurry, escape to it, for I can do nothing until you arrive there. This explains why that village was known as Zoar, which means little place. Lot reached the village just as the sun was rising over the horizon. Then the Lord rained down fire and burning sulfur from the sky on Sodom and Gomorrah. He utterly destroyed them, along with the other cities and villages of the plain, wiping out all the people and every bit of vegetation. Basically, he's saying they accepted his request. They gave him leeway, saying gave him acceptance, saying all right. Basically, saying they agreed with him, saying that they'll grant his request. They granted him his request and gave him his request, and saying they'll not destroy the little village, but hurry, escape to it, telling him to hurry and escape to it, but we can do nothing until he arrives there. You can rush there. Telling him to hurry and escape to it, for he can do nothing until he arrives there. And that explains to us why that village was known as Zoar, because it was a very little place. That's why they named the city Zoar. It's in the land of Jordan, country of Jordan today. It says that Lot reached the village just as the sun was rising over the horizon. Basically, he reached there, and then the Lord rained fire and burning sulfur from the sky and Sodom and Gomorrah. And he utterly destroyed them, seas of the plain, wiping out all the people and every bit of vegetation. Basically, but looked back as she was following and she turned into a pillar of salt. Abraham early that morning and hurried out to the place where he had stood in the Lord's presence. He looked out across the plain towards Sodom and Gomorrah and watched as columns of smoke rose from the cities like smoke from a furnace. But God had listened to Abraham's kept Lot safe and kept removing him from the cities of the that engulfed the cities on the plain. Lot and his daughters. Uh, Lot and his daughters. Afterward, Lot and his daughters. Afterward, Zoar, because he was afraid of the people there, and he went to live in a cave in the mountains with his two daughters. Basically, what this is saying is that basically Lot's wife looked back, which was not told not to look back as she was falling, and she got turned into a pillar of salt, which if you check the Dead Sea today, it's called the Salt Sea, because the pillar of salt is in there, so located in that region in Jordan. Lot's wife is from a Pilgrim's Progress thing as well. Abraham got up early that morning because he got up so early and hurried out to the place where he stood with God. He looked across the plain of Sodom and Gomorrah and watched his cities smoke furnace. Cities like smoke, columns of smoke rose from the city like smoke from a furnace. Basically, is having a good descriptive imagery about what the smoke from the cities looked like. It was like smoke on a furnace. Because smoke from a very hot fire. But God had listened to him. Basically, God had listened to Abraham's request. Basically, God respected Abraham's request and kept his nephew Lot safe, moving him from the disasters that engulfed the city. And then afterward Lot left Zoar because of the people there, because he was afraid they would be wicked as well. He went to live in a cave in the mountains, which is the last we hear of him is that him in that cave in the mountains, his two daughters. One day the older daughter said to her sister, there are no men left anywhere in this entire area, so we can't get married like everyone else. And our father will soon be too old. To have children. Come, let's get him drunk with wine. Then we will have fights with him. Come, let's get him drunk with wine. Come, let's get him drunk with wine, and then we will have fights with him. That way we will preserve our family line for our father. So that night they got him drunk with wine, and the older daughter went in and had intercourse with her father. He was unaware of her lying down or getting up again. Had lunch in the bedroom with them, basically. We could have lunch in the bedroom with him. That way we'll preserve our family line through our father. So that night they got him drunk with wine, and the old daughter went in and had lunch in the bedroom with her father. He was unaware of her lying down or getting up again. The next morning, the older sister said to the younger sister. The next morning, the older daughter said to the next morning, the older daughter said to her younger sister, "I had sex with our father last night. Let's get him drunk with wine again tonight, and you go in and have sex with him. That way we will preserve our family line through our father." So that night they got him drunk with wine again, and the younger daughter went in and had intercourse with him. As before, he was unaware of her lying down or getting up again. Basically, the wine had made him forget about that his daughters were having lunch in the bedroom with him. Basically, they said that the older daughter said to his sister, basically they had a plan, saying that there's no men left anywhere in this area where they are, and so they can't get married. And he thought it would be too old to have lunch in the bedroom. It's like, come let us get him drunk with wine, basically make him drunk so he can do bad things. Make him drunk, wine, and then we can have lunch in the bedroom with him. That way, we will preserve our. Basically, they're gonna want to preserve their lineage through their dad. So that night, they got him drunk and they had lunch in the bedroom with him. And they got him drunk, and the old daughter had lunch in the bedroom with him and gave birth to a son. To having lunch in the bedroom, he was unaware of her getting up again. He never knew when she went down and when she got up. Next morning, the older daughter said to her younger sister, I had lunch in the bedroom. Thought last night, let's get him drunk again. Drunk with wine again tonight and preserve the family line for our father. So that night, got him drunk with wine again and the old daughter. So that night, they got him drunk with wine again and the younger daughter went in and had lunch with him. So that night, they got him drunk with wine again and the younger daughter went in and had lunch in the bedroom with him. So that night, they got him drunk with wine again and the younger daughter went in and had lunch in the bedroom with him. So that night, they got him drunk with wine again and the younger daughter went in and had lunch in the bedroom with him. As before, he was unaware of the thing getting up. Basically, they got him drunk with wine, and the younger daughter had lunch in the bedroom with him, and they had a child with him. So basically, it was the father of his daughters, and it was the father of his grandsons as well. They had incest. I had lunch in the bedroom, and so he had lunch in the bedroom with him as well. And all that. He's all over lying down and getting up. As a result, both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their own father. When the older daughter gave birth to a son, she named him Moab. He became the ancestor of the nation now known as the Moabites. When the older daughter gave birth to a son, she named him Moab. When the older daughter gave birth to a son, she named him Moab. He became the ancestor of the nation now known as the Moabites. Now known as the Moabites. When the younger daughter gave birth to a son, she named him Ben-Ami. He became the ancestor of the nation now known as the Ammonites. The Moabites and the Ammonites came from Abraham's nephew Lot's two daughters and his nephew. Basically, he was the great great uncle of the nations of the Moabites and the Ammonites as well. The Ammonites and the Moabites were relatives of Israel through Abraham's nephew Lot, so they're basically at war with their relatives as well. What this chapter shows is that it's a sign of having that you shouldn't have incest. You shouldn't have a lunch in the bedroom with thinking that's very wrong, and how Sodom was wicked, and how the bad man comes to ruin his own family, and a good man has faith as what is promised to him. And God humbled Abraham's request and kept Lot safe for removing him from the disaster that engulfed the cities of the plain. Because God was so merciful to Lot, and it was so merciful because of Abraham interceding for him. And he married anyone else in the other side of the city. And I guess that's the end of the video. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe. Use Sodom as an example. and how yeah, all that stuff. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe. Watch one of these and subscribe to my channel so I can make good videos. See you in the next one. Catch ya. Bye.